You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Hello.
Hi. It's been so long.
It has been a long time. Although, I mean, technically, calendar-wise, it's been a long time, but it feels to me like
that was
this
yesterday.
Fall, the fall just...
But also 10 years ago at the same time.
Mm-hmm. So we're back again. Restarting. Again.
We're just drama queens. We love to make a grand entrance as often as possible.
Yes. So we're here with Love Your Shelf. I have been reading a lot.
Good.
So there's that. So
you were just so busy reading.
I really, really was.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything else, I assure you. So I've got quite a few things to talk about. Oddly enough, though, just in time for the holidays,
yes,
all of the things, I think almost all but one, are unhinged horror type
oh my gosh,
novels that I read.
I love that, leading up to that, anyone who didn't know you would be like, she's been reading holiday books.
Right.
Or like cozy murder mysteries. No, I knew better.
None of these are cozy. Well, like I said, there is one outlier, but for some reason, everything else, I go through phases, and I also do, I add things to my TBR list by, I like one thing, and then I'll just get recommendations like that.
I'm going to read all the things like it.
So I just put them all on my list, and then I just start going through, and then realize that I've only read about murders for the last 6 months. So, and hauntings, and
she's been real
supernatural
jumpy.
stuff. Yeah. So anyway, next time we'll maybe shoot for something that's not in the horror genre.
3 Ann Patchett books, so the opposite.
The opposite end. So we can talk about those. We'll have some balance.
But no, I'm here for it. Do tell.
I also haven't been watching that much stuff.
Me neither, which is very unlike me.
I was able to come up with a few things that I've watched in the last few months, but mostly I've been reading. So
yeah.
But
I told you earlier I've been watching 30 Rock again, and not even fully. It's been my background noise. But I do recommend 30 Rock if anybody hasn't watched it.
If somebody hasn't watched that, they should definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
that's unhinged in a different way.
It really is. And also get past the first season or so.
It does get better.
It really does. Now I just really recognize that this time around. But once it gets going, it's really good.
Yeah. There's very few things that I've rewatched all the way through.
Yeah.
And that's not one of them. But if there's a good episode that comes up, although with streaming, never just accidentally catch something. The only time I ever do that is if I'm in a hotel or something.
Right. When Friends is always on or whatever. Yeah. But
although I don't watch that. So.
I just have my background noise shows that I'll throughout my adulthood have kind of gone back to. There's Seinfeld, 30 Rock, The Simpsons. Things I'm not going to be worried if I miss any of it.
Right.
Anyway, okay, go girl, scare me.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, the first two are by T. Kingfisher, and I wouldn't say that they're super scary. They're a little more mild, maybe. The first one is Nettle and Bone, and this was actually from the book club that I'm in.
Okay, I was like, why is that familiar? That's why.
Yeah, and I've seen this author, so I ended up reading more by the author because I was intrigued. But Nettle and Bone is more of it's not horror, but it's fantasy, and it's got some kind of dark elements, so it's it's still kind of in that range, and it's about a young woman who is sent to a convent. She's a princess. She's sent to a convent as sort of, she doesn't realize this at the time, but she's kept there as an extra sister for in case when one of the other princesses, if something happens to them, and they can't be married off to the old evil prince or whatever.
Right.
Then she's there and waiting to be brought up to
So
become
she's
a princess.
So she's the oh God, now I can't think. The on stage, the person who's not understudy princess.
Yes, understudy princess.
Got it.
And so she's there for years, and then finds out that there's darkness brewing back in the kingdom, and so she's got to go and try to set things right. And along the way, she has to get help from a grave witch.
Oh, cool.
And a knight, and just like a really ragtag group of kind of fantasy characters.
I was gonna say like
that
checking the boxes. I love it. Yeah,
exactly. That are going to help her get there, and then ultimately, do what she's got to do.
Cool.
So, if that sounds like something that
I love that.
Yeah, it's dark for sure, but I would say it's not scary.
Okay.
Like
you can read it at night and not.
And
totally
not like
scared.
Not be able to put your feet on the floor because you're afraid there's something under the bed.
Yeah.
Now there are some of those in this list, but,
certainly.
Yeah, but not this one. And then the next one by this author is called A House with Good Bones, and it's like a Southern Gothic, but kind of comedic. And so I listened to this one, which always really changes my experience of a book. Like
Yes.
I for whatever reason, I think it's the way that it plays with time, because you read so much faster than you hear something. I don't know.
And are you someone do you ever listen in like double time?
I listen almost double time.
Like the half speed or whatever. I'm willing to try that. The double speed, like I can't get over the fact that they're just like, bah, 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 bah. Like that's not.
It sounds like a chipmunk.
It sounds ridiculous, and my brain is like, hold on there.
Yeah. But I had started like creeping up because I'm impatient, and I read fast.
You're a fast reader. Yeah.
So I tried, because there was somebody that I really liked their voice, and so I was like, I'm going to try to listen to this in regular speed. Oh no,
Let it sink in.
no,
Yeah, no. My neurodivergent brain needs the like regular pace. Maybe I'll try to go up to half speed, but or 1.5.
Yeah. I fluctuate. It depends, if
Feeling
they're
it out.
If they're really doing a good job of the narration, then I might be at like 1.25. But it does change the way that you interpret it.
Totally.
Because especially if there's like any kind of sound effects that really messes with you.
Really fast footsteps.
Yeah. Instead of creeping along, they're running.
Yeah.
So it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
But this one is kind of funny. The narrator, or the main character, goes back home for a visit. And her mom lives in this house that had been her grandmother's house, and I'll give like one thing. It's not going to be a spoiler necessarily, but it'll give you the idea.
Sure.
She she's grown up. She's working on her PhD, and so she's like hasn't been in this house for a while, and she's looking at the pictures that like line the staircase, and she sees her graduation picture, and she's in front of the house, in front of the rose bush, and she sees something that takes her aback and makes her like look closer, and there's a hand sticking out of the ground
Of the picture?
in the rose bush in the picture.
Oh,
inside
no.
And so this is like 10 years prior. It's like
it-
an old picture of her graduation, from college.
Is it the kind of hand that would grab your ankles from under the bed?
Right. Yeah. And so that sets her off on this whole trying to figure out what that's about. First she thinks, I'm just seeing things, or maybe somebody photoshopped that in there. Why would somebody do that? And
For this.
exactly. So it's not really scary again, but it is. I would call it
Mysterious
comedy
and
horror or
alluring.
horror comedy.
Cool.
Yeah. And that I have like a few more minutes left of it, so I don't know how exactly it ends. But
Okay. There's going to be a big twist in this few minutes.
right, it could be. There's definitely that's happened before.
That's fun.
So yeah, so that's T. Kingfisher. They have several other novels as well,
Cool.
and so kind of enjoying seeing what the different things that I might not necessarily read. That's why I like the book club, because everybody that's in the club gives some suggestions, and then we just like spin a wheel.
Love it.
And so
it's fair.
It's fair.
Yeah. Random.
You never know what it's going to be, and everybody has different tastes. So
When you're finished with that one you're listening to it on Libby. When you're finished with that one, maybe I'll grab it.
yeah, the Nettle and Bone.
Yeah,
yeah.
the one you were just either one. Honestly, I just need something new and good to listen
And
to.
they're also pretty short too.
Nice.
So you don't. It's not like 23 hours of.
Where you're like, I must try to finish this within 2 weeks before
Yes.
it's on hold and I have to wait. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to schedule time to listen to it. No,
Cool.
they're pretty quick. But yeah, and so that was the one you're talking about is A House with Good Bones.
Yes, I knew it had bone in it also.
Yeah. And then the next one is pretty dark. It's called Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. And again, no clue where I picked this up, but it just ended up on my TBR list. And so I grabbed it. And in this one, very similar setup. So it's a woman who's grown up, and her mother asks her to come home, and she goes home. And but in this case, there's really no comedy.
Okay. I'll stop laughing.
Be serious. And so they've been estranged, and this is not a spoiler, although for some reason the book takes a long time to actually acknowledge it. But it's
Sure.
from the back of the book.
Okay.
That her father was a serial killer.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Yes, her father's a serial killer, or was.
Okay.
You can find this out.
Okay.
And her mother has a terminal illness, and so she's got to go back and deal with that. And then I think that's enough of a setup.
Okay.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And she and her mother do not get along, but you don't necessarily know why.
Okay.
And I have to say that this one was a page turner.
Yeah?
Like, I really did not know where it was going.
Cool.
And I, stayed up and just finished it in like a sitting, basically, because I just wanted to know.
Crystal is, like, surprised or caught off guard, I'm like, it's for real, y'all. Like,
yeah. I really did not see it coming at all.
Yeah. Cool.
But, yeah. Now, I don't know if the ending is my favorite ending or my favorite way to end something like that, but
the journey,
I did want to get there.
The journey was a memorable one. That's cool.
And then I found a new author, Ashley Winstead, and I started with her book called In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. And so great titles. She
I was
gets
just
the
about
titles.
to say, love that title.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was intrigued by that. The result, I don't know. We'll judge. Let people judge for themselves. But in this one, this is these friends 10 years after college graduation go back for the reunion, but there was a murder, an unsolved murder. And so everybody's a suspect.
Oh, okay. So this happens like when they've all come back?
That happened
in the past.
In the past.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so this group of friends had like all kind of splintered because of this thing that happened in the past. Okay. But they're coming back for this reunion, and then of course there's like it's got to be revisited, all of this stuff that happened. So it's this was another one that I had read several books kind of where there was kind of a similar premise. And so I was kind of getting them all confused.
Yes. It's kind of like all the like terrible Hallmark Christmas movies. Like they all have
Yes.
that. It's like we're doing the opposite of that. But.
Yes, like the murder version
Yes.
of that. Yeah. And then I don't want to say the specific thing that I didn't appreciate about it.
Okay.
Because it is kind of a spoiler. So I will say that in a lot of these books, even the main characters are not very likable.
Right. Okay.
So that's one thing that kind of carries through in these books by Ashley Winston.
Yeah.
And then the next one I read of hers is Midnight is the Darkest Hour, which another good title.
Yes.
Promising, you know. Mm-hmm. This one is about a young woman. Again, I don't read books about men anymore.
Is she going back home?
No, but she is like at that, like she's just out of the house, you know. She's
leaving home.
Yeah, and her father is a fire and brimstone preacher, and so she has problems with him. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the strangest books in not a good way that I've ever read.
Oh, yikes. It's a bold statement.
After a certain point in the book, I thought that it must just be a parody. But I don't think it was.
Yikes.
By getting to the end of it. So the thing is, whether, you know, you're a Twilight fan or never read it
Why
or hate
did I
it or
immediately
whatever.
think Twilight Zone? Twilight. I'm not
You're
a big
clearly
Twilight
not
fan.
a Twilight fan. So
Anyway.
the character
Yeah.
likes the Twilight books.
Okay.
But then she starts to see these characteristics in this friend of hers where she's kind of the Bella character and he's kind of the Edward.
What?
But it just
So weird
didn't.
fan fiction-y?
Yes.
Oh.
But at first I was like, okay, so they're tweaking it because they're calling it out. Like, oh, she's reading the book.
Right.
In the books. You know, or in this book, she's reading the books. And her friend, you know, is mysterious and very, you know, Edward-like. And, you know, but then you realize, well, she's probably just projecting this. But then it keeps hinting that there may actually be some supernatural elements going on.
What?
But it's not really. I did not enjoy that book.
I am intrigued only because this sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I want to understand everything you're not saying right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll listen to that one on double time.
Yes, you could. You just 20 minutes.
Yeah,
just get it out of the way. But I really didn't get the whole, like the premise and why it was set up that way. It was just odd to me. So.
Weird.
And it was almost like is the author like looking down her nose at Twilight
or does
lovers?
she love it so much and she needs to get something out of her system?
I don't know.
How weird.
I would like to talk to someone else who has read this book.
And the fact that like she actually uses Twilight instead of some like invented book series. I don't know. Maybe it's just easier.
Then it's like they recreate scenes from the book.
That's weird.
Like climbing up in a tree.
I know that happens in the movie.
Yeah.
What?
Exactly. The whole time, it was just question marks over my head.
I want to know, like, I want to hear an interview. Or does she have anything to say on
explanation.
This matter?
Yes. That's what I want. I demand an explanation.
How weird. I'm going to make that, but, like, I'm going to write a book like that, but, like, Harry Potter. Because that's what I need to get out of my system.
Yeah.
My childhood fantasy series.
Don't do that.
No, I will not.
So I then read another one by this author called The Last Housewife, which I thought, I like the title. You know, let's see.
Why is she the last housewife?
Yeah. And this one is about a woman. And
you're like, this one is about a man.
And she's in college. She and her friends get sort of seduced into this kind of cult kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Hate when that happens.
I do. Just, every other weekend I get seduced by a cult.
Yeah.
And because there's so many of them.
Seduced by a call.
And so, yeah, it's, again, I think this is going to be the last one I read by this author.
Sounds a little off the rails, man.
Just gone off the rails. And this one is another one where there's a podcaster who's trying to help solve the mystery. And because I had read another book, or two, I think,
where that's also the case.
Where they're like, there's an unsolved mystery and there's a podcaster involved.
There was a show, The Lincoln Lawyer in season 2. That's like an issue. I just realized I never finished that. But yeah, like that's a real little subplot, I guess.
Yeah. Which, I get it. You know, it's timely.
It is.
There's
a lot of that. Absolutely.
People love it. I love them.
I'm sure.
But, good grief. You
know.
So, anyway, if Ashley Winstead sounds good to you, I would say, I don't know. In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife is best, but it doesn't live up to the promise of its title.
I really want to read the Twilight one. Or listen to the Twilight one, and maybe when
you should, because I want you to.
It sounds so
talk
silly.
To me about it.
I need to discuss and like put together.
Yeah, because it was funny. Like that part of it was funny.
Yeah,
but
it
wasn't
that's
meant
why
to be
I
a
watch
funny book.
Hallmark Christmas movies. I am laughing at them like it's funny. So
just silly. Anyway, then I read. This is a little bit different. And I did not write down the author's name, so I'll put it in the description. But it's called Drunk on All Your Strange New Words.
Okay.
And it is in this, like, near futuristic world where there's aliens. And they have sent diplomats to our planet. And, you know, obviously they speak different alien languages. And so they have to have translators.
Okay.
And the translator is the main character. And when she's translating it, or not just when she is, but when they are translating for the aliens, it makes them feel drunk.
Oh. Makes the translator?
It makes the translator feel drunk.
Huh.
So if you do it for like a long period of time, then you get woozy, or, you know, wacky or whatever.
Yeah.
But... so that does play into the whole mystery because something happens and she becomes unreliable because she's under the influence of the
words.
Yes, exactly. And so, it's bizarre. It's unusual.
Yeah.
But
also intriguing. Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
So bizarre, I kind of want to know.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a locked room mystery because what happens, you know, like kind of under her nose. But again, she doesn't remember, so she doesn't.
Inebriated. Yeah.
So
interesting.
Drunk on All Your Strange New Words. Okay. Also a good title.
It is. And like at first I was like, wait, is this nonfiction? Like, what is she? Just based on the title,
right.
I was like, what is this about? And then, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then I read, this was another book club book, The Weight of Blood by Tiffany D. Jackson. And it's YA.
Okay.
And it's set in high school in Georgia. And the main character, and it's a retelling of Carrie by Stephen King.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So it very much follows like the same pattern, but there are some things
Carrie?
that happen. Yeah.
Okay. I've only seen the movie, but okay.
Yeah, it's good. You know, it's a classic.
Yeah.
At this point, and so, but the twist in this one is the main character is a young girl, Madison, who had been homeschooled, and she's raised by her father, not her mother, like in the Carrie book. And he is, you know, isolates her, and he is a white man, and she is a mixed race girl.
Okay.
But he doesn't want her to acknowledge that. And so she's passing for most of her life. And one of her main, like, rules that she's supposed to follow, well, there's many of them, is that she can't get her hair wet because she has it straightened and it curls up.
Oh, my goodness.
And so one day she's not able to prevent that from happening, and her hair gets very curly, and everybody takes another look at her and says, oh, wait a minute. And then it turns into like the problem that they had, the bullying is racially motivated. And so it's complicated.
Yeah.
And it's got all of the same kinds of things of, bullying and like the difficulties that you already face in high school.
And then you're
Plus,
in Georgia.
Yes.
And I'm not saying all, you know what I mean.
Exactly. Yeah. There's been issues.
Yes.
And so it kind of then follows the same or similar storyline. But I will say that it ramps up from what was in Carrie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's there's obviously not spoiling Carrie, but that
the
whole
big
the
scene.
finale. It really adds on to that, and is it like way worse.
Dark. Ooh, yikes. Yeah. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So, it was good. It was definitely worth reading. And then I read Reprieve. This was another book club book by James Hahn Matson. And this one is about a full contact escape room.
Oh.
Where...
Taking notes?
No way. It's like it's almost like
scary.
a / haunted house / escape room.
No.
So you go in, and there's like a big prize if you actually stick through it and get through it. But there's like actors in there that can like attack you.
Do what they want.
Do whatever. And then there's like, several rooms that you're supposed to make it through, and it's about these contestants that make it to the final like room in the escape room, and then somebody actually dies.
Scary.
Yeah. And so then it kind of gives different perspectives of different people that were involved, and through a court case.
Okay.
And this was another one that I listened to, and I think I would have had a different experience of it if I had just read it than listening to it. Particularly because there are multiple perspectives, and so you're getting like a teenage girls, and then you're back at the court case, and then you're getting the the perspective of like the owner.
Sure.
And so it was a little bit hard to follow if you're like me, and you're like, I listen to a book when I want to be hands-free and do something else, like do the dishes or the laundry or something. And so it might have gone over better.
You might have needed to like pay attention a little bit. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it was definitely intriguing, but I probably would have enjoyed it more if I had read it instead of listening to it. And then I read Revival by Stephen King. And so I had Stephen King on the brain.
Sure.
And I've never been a huge Stephen King aficionado or whatever, but and this one there's a lot going on in it, and just like with every Stephen King novel, there's lots of characters and just lots of happenings and that kind of thing. And it's another one where you just don't know how you got from the beginning to the end.
Right.
There's just a lot.
Yes.
And you wouldn't have put that together yourself. It's over like half a century, and it starts with a little boy who sort of becomes he's kind of taken under the wing of this pastor at his church, and then but the pastor doesn't stick around long because of a tragedy, And then years later, this little boy runs across this man, this pastor again. And yeah, I don't want to give anything away, but
her eyes made that seem very suspicious.
Very suspicious, yes. And so, like, and it's kind of sad. Like, you know, it's the boy doesn't have a happy life.
Right. He finds this, like...
Yeah, it's...
I don't know, trusted father figure type.
Right.
And,
and it just doesn't pan out.
Okay.
And then the last book that I want to talk about is a complete departure from all the horror. And it's by Michiko Aoyama. What you are looking for is in the library is the title of it.
Love it.
Obviously. And I would say, so it's not a mystery at all, but I want to call it a cozy book.
Nice.
Because basically it's about these several different characters. Each chapter is about a different character. Some of them are in some way touching on some of the others. There's you know, some interwoven narratives there. But they all go to this library in Japan, and I mean, it's set in Japan. They don't go to a library in Japan from somewhere else. But
yes.
I realized that was a little...
I didn't take it that way, but somebody could have, yes.
Yes. So it's set in Japan.
Yes.
And these characters go to the library. They get pointed to this reference librarian. And she just always says, "What are you looking for?" And then gives them, you know, exactly what they need, plus something that's even more than what they needed, but they didn't even know.
Oh, that they needed
and then,
it.
Yeah. And then she also gives them, like, a little gift. You know? I know.
Outdoing us.
I feel like I have to step up my game now. I haven't been given gifts to people.
I usually just give people what they ask for and stop there.
Exactly. Oh, puts us to shame.
Yeah.
But, so this librarian is, you know, enigmatic and unusual, like, but doesn't, you know, stand out in any other way, really, except just, you know, does this exact right thing that is kind of odd or unusual. And then each chapter is about how, you know, these people who are searching for something in their lives start to reach it or to find a way to, you know, head in that direction. And at first I just thought, oh, okay, I don't know.
What is happening?
You know, I've been in all this darkness, you know, just wading through all of these, like, terrible...
situations.
Yeah, horrible events and blood and horror and gore. And then this book.
Like what?
And, but by the end of it, it was very touching.
Cool.
And, you know, slightly unusual, but not, you know, not really supernatural or anything. And nothing really dramatic happens.
Okay, yeah.
It's just...
I don't hate that.
Yeah, it's just kind of gentle.
Great.
And philosophically kind of...
Just patting you on your back.
Yeah.
Good.
So I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
And it's very, very short. Again, it's one that I sat and just read it in an afternoon.
I'm interested.
And so then we can move on to, or actually, if you want to talk about the books that
I'll
you're
be
reading.
brief.
Yeah.
Right now I'm listening to The Wizard of Oz.
You're kidding.
Wow. I watched that movie over and over and over again as a kid. I never read the book. I had, it was like, actually we have it here at the library. It's like a giant picture book version of the book as a kid, but I never read it. I always looked at the pictures. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, my sister and I were talking about it, and she started kind of looking into all of the books and the world, and it sounded really weird. And
it was another one, like, I read everything that it was in my family's house when I was a kid, except that.
Yeah.
And I know that we had, like, all of the series, and there was so much more of it than just
there is
Wizard of Oz.
More, yes, like I knew, okay, because as a kid, I also remember watching, I would rent this movie, Return to Oz, and made in like the 80s. The girl from the original, The Craft, who's like the scary girl.
Feruza Balk.
Is that her name? She's from American History X too.
Yes.
Yeah, she plays Dorothy. And
I've seen that too.
It is so horrifying. Like,
Yeah.
my sister and I watched it maybe when I was in my early 20s, and we were like, how did we watch this as kids? Like, horrifying. Anyway, but there's so much more than even those two, which I didn't realize. And yeah, like the Wizard of Oz is weird. I like it, but it's really weird. Like, do you know how the Tin Man became the Tin Man?
No.
Okay, girl. He, like, I think, okay, I missed this part. I don't, he used to be either a regular man or a munchkin. I want to say he was a munchkin or something, but he's not. Anyway, they don't talk about him being munchkin sized.
Yeah.
But he falls in love with this munchkin girl, and he's a woodsman. And she is like, I will marry you when you can, like, build us a better house. And she works for this, like, old, evil, lazy lady who is like, no, you can't go get married. I want you to keep working for me. And so she goes to the Wicked Witch of the East and convinces her / hires her to curse the woodsman's axe. So he goes to start building a home for him and his little fiance, and his axe, like, he goes to cut the wood, and whoops, he cuts his leg off.
Oh.
I know, I literally, like, gasped. And then, so he goes to someone, metal worker guy, who, like, builds him a tin leg, and then it happens again with the other leg, and then it happens with each of his arms, and then he's like, and I thought I was done for when it happened to my head, but he managed to, and then it happens to, like, right down his torso, so then he is the Tin Man. Like, wow. I know. So anyway, there are just little things like that, and a lot of other lands and people that Dorothy and her friends visit / encounter that are not mentioned in the movie. Mm-hmm. The slippers are silver; they are not ruby.
I have to admit that was one of those movies that, as a kid, I wasn't scared by it, but I didn't really care about it. It wasn't one of my favorites or anything. I don't know
why I loved it so much.
Yeah, I don't know why. It just wasn't one of those. I mean, I've seen it multiple times, but just one of them.
No, I would, like, run around with, like, a basket with a stuffed dog inside kind of thing. I was real into it. Anyway, I've been enjoying that. And then I also read, actually, the Hunger Games prequel.
Oh.
The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Mm-hmm. And it was pretty good. I wasn't, like, blown away, but it was good.
Yeah, I had read the trilogy, but I didn't read that one. I
started it when it, like, first came out, and actually I think I started listening to it. And it really bothered me to listen to it because... So the narrator, he is great as Coriolanus Snow. Like, he sounds kind of, like, cocky. Like, he's really good at getting his message across. But one of the other main characters is a girl, and his girl voice is so annoying and off-putting. Oh. I kept being like, I don't like her. And I was like, no, she's fine. It's his voice that... And, like, it was just very like this. And, like, and she's a singer, so she would, like, sing stuff, and he wouldn't sing, but he would kind of be like, he'd be like, twinkle, 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 twinkle. Oh. Like, it was just, that was supposed to be Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star.
Yeah.
I
followed that.
Okay, good. For the listeners. Anyway, it was really off-putting. But so I went back and, since the movie came out, read it. And, yeah, I'm intrigued. I will watch the movie. I liked the trilogy a lot. I read through those when they came out and read them quickly. But
yeah,
I didn't go through this one as quickly or feel the need to stay up all night and read it or anything. Right,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like people are really welcoming that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I find that really tricky. When I'm really invested in characters, whatever it is, if it's, from a TV series or whatever, when there's prequels and stuff like that, it's so hit or miss.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just don't care about those people like
Yeah.
you care about the originals.
Yeah.
But growing up, I read a ton of series like John Jakes is an author like from the 80s with a whole series of like historical fiction that my dad had that I read.
I love it.
And like North and South, that kind of stuff where there's like multiple generations,
Yeah.
you know, of characters. And so it just makes me think of that, I think.
Like, when I read the original trilogy, I remember being really interested in the history of the Hunger Games. Mm-hmm. Like, I wanted to know, like, how did all the past tributes, like, I wanted to know how it started and all of that, but even just, like, because I think it's the second one when it's, like, past tributes have to, like, participate in the Hunger Games again. Mm-hmm. And that was, I think it's, anyway, it's been a while. But that was when I was like, well, I want to know, like, everybody's story, you know, like, what was their Hunger Games experience? Like, that old lady, what was her, you know, I don't know. And so, in that way, and the fact that it's supposed to be the United States, but, like, in the future, or North America, but, like, in the future, I want to know more about, like, where all of these districts are and where they take place and all of that. Anyway, for that reason...
Does it get into that?
Not as much, but I feel if she wanted to go crazy,
because it's not even its full generation.
No,
it's
just
just
like the 10th year they've done the Hunger Games or something. Yeah. And well, because I think it's I'd have to stop and think about like how long before. Yeah. But if she wanted to go nuts and like really create this whole world, like there are parts of it that like I kind of want to know. I'd be down to find out. I'm not going to go like crazy to. Waiting for them. But anyway, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I'll get around to it, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then, I read a bunch of Ann Patchett summer. Actually, I listened to, my favorite one was Tom Lake. Summer recommended it.
That's the newest one.
Yes. And, I loved it so much. And I listened to it, and I didn't even know until I started it that Meryl Streep narrates it. And it is, don't double time that one.
Yeah, that would be
because it is a chef's kiss. Like it was really lovely. It takes place during the pandemic, and this family with 3 daughters in their 20s live on a cherry farm, I believe, and the mother in the family she had a period of time in her early 20s when she was an actress. Like she did a movie that was pretty successful, and then she did some theater, and she ended up being a part of this theater company that included this guy who is now in present day a very, very famous actor, but she knew him before he was famous and dated him. And so like the girls have always been knew that was the case, but didn't know the whole story. And so now she's sort of, it goes back and forth between like present day and the pandemic, and then like trying to keep up with the farm, but then she's telling this story, and it was just, I loved it. It was just, I keep saying just, but that's how I feel.
I think I've only ever read one of Ann Patchett's books. I don't think I've never really.
The other two I read were The Dutch House and Commonwealth, and they were good, but not great. They were good. What am I talking about? They're good books, of course, but Tom Lake was what I started with, and I really loved it.
That's interesting. I'll have to check it out.
You should.
Since I'm not on my horror.
This is
anymore.
Lighter, and I really recommend listening to it. I think there's kind of a long wait on it right now, but really good.
Yeah. Everybody's clamoring for that one. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of Meryl Streep, I have only been reading lately, but have watched a few things, and one of those is Only Murders in the Building, the 3rd season.
I still need to finish the 2nd season.
Oh, gosh.
I keep meaning to. I know it's good.
Well, they are really, really stepping up their game.
Good!
Because in the 3rd season, they've got Meryl Streep and Paul Rudd.
Ah!
Yeah. I was just...
Oh, my goodness!
I know. And so I liked the 1st season. The 2nd season, I liked it better.
But
Of course, I like Martin
great.
Short and Steve Martin.
I know.
But I do not like Selena Gomez.
I know. I think we've done this before.
Yes. She just talks weird.
I was just trying to figure
She
out.
doesn't open her mouth.
Is there a reason?
I don't
Because
know.
I've heard people say that she has a disease or had something. I can't
Maybe.
remember what it was, but I don't know if it. I don't know if it's something that would affect that. And I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out. I was like, is this an acting choice?
Yeah. But it just is distracting to
It
me.
is. It was distracting to me too. I totally
But
agree.
it's less so
That's good.
with each go around.
That's
So I did really enjoy the third season of it.
Because she, I think, does comedy well. Some kids I used to babysat would watch Wizards of Waverly Place on Disney Channel, and I remember being like, she's good. Like, she's very natural. And so, I don't know, I kind of feel like maybe comedy is like, or a more, I don't know, different kind of character is her
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. I'm not going to belabor the point, but
Cool.
just, it's definitely grows on me.
But I want to make this about Selena Gomez, the rest of it. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's it
She
for
looked
today.
at me like I was insane. No, continue.
Yes, no. Moving on from Selena Gomez. So, on Netflix, they've really been killing it lately. With Beef was one.
Oh, yeah, with Ali Wong.
Yes.
I never watched it.
Oh, gosh.
Uh-huh.
Talk about unhinged. That's the word of the day.
Yeah.
It is, you think that they couldn't top it. And it's about these two people that are just,
Yes.
they don't know each other, but they have like a road rage incident. And then it just escalates from there, and they just keep going and going and going. And it was like a car crash that you can't look away from.
Yeah.
You have to just see what's going to happen. And they take it to extremes.
Okay. For some reason, I haven't watched it because for some reason the trailers made me feel like it would stress me out a little bit. These scenarios.
It's going to stress you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for confirming.
But it's worth watching, I think.
Okay.
And then there was The Fall of the House of Usher.
Started it, and I did want to continue it. Don't remember why I didn't, but...
Yeah. Well, it's by Mike Flanagan, who did Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor and lots of other things. And I usually like what he's doing. And he always has like a lot of the same actors.
Yeah, which I
like a lot of them.
Yeah.
And that have the same in this go around. But the energy of this series is like kind of amped up and,
yes,
and like
totally
fast paced and just there's a lot happening.
Yeah, a lot of characters.
And a lot of death.
Yeah.
So it's got the Poe energy.
I was just about to say, checking the Poe boxes.
And all of the characters are named after either Poe characters or like real life people that were related to Edgar Allan Poe.
That's cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And now the stories are not really like taken necessarily from the Edgar Allan Poe stories.
They're just sort of little references. And, yeah.
And each episode is titled a title of a story, but it doesn't follow.
Right.
So you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
At all. And, but yeah, it's dark. It's not my favorite thing that he's done at all.
Again, I watched Haunting at Hill House first, and it's been my favorite.
Yeah, definitely. And I even watched Midnight Club, which is kind of like a young adult thing. I remember you telling me about that. There's another Midnight Sunday.
There's like a weird... There's like a pastor or something. I didn't watch it, but I remember when it came out.
Yes. Yeah, that one is...
It seemed very unsettling, which obviously, but...
Yeah, they all are.
Yeah.
For sure. But...
Haunting at Hill House, like, there are still images from that, like, I can't think about that if I'm home alone. No.
Yeah.
The bowler hat ghost,
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, that's creepy.
Yeah.
But they do it, so he does it very, very well.
Yes.
And then, let's see. A Murder at the End of the World, which is on Hulu.
I don't know
This
if I
is
know.
a limited series, and it's about this, like, young Gen Z girl who is, along with, like, several other guests, are invited by this, like, billionaire to go to a retreat on this, like, remote place, and then one of them ends up dead.
Of course.
And so it's dark, but it has kind of a fun kind
Nice.
of concept. And so the young girl who's, she's like a hacker and tech savvy and solves mysteries. So I haven't finished the
Cool.
series, but it's so far
Nice.
it's good, and apparently it's been super popular. And then the last thing that I'll mention is this was so silly. Squid Game: The Challenge.
Yeah, I saw that advertised. Haven't looked into it.
Yeah. It was just one of those where I was like, okay, I've just been reading and my eyeballs
Yeah.
are going to fall out of my head. So what's this, And it is a reality show based on the very dramatic Squid Game
Yes.
show from a couple years ago. And if you're not familiar with that, it is about, like, this competition, very strange competition, once again, Unhinged,
Yep.
where you're competing to not die in all of these really bizarre challenges. And so in this reality show, they recreate
What?
these challenges.
No, even if they're not dying at the end, like
They're
no,
not dying,
I don't
yeah.
want to go through. Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, so the very first challenge from the
Yeah.
show is
Is it the running
like a
the
red light, green light.
Yes.
And so they recreate the big doll.
Horrifying.
And so the doll, like, has her back to the characters, and then her head turns around and they can run, just like the old
Yeah.
children's game, red
Yeah.
light, green light. But then when she stops, they have to stop. And if they stumble or keep moving, then they're out.
Yeah.
And they
Not
did it.
shot dead on sight.
Yes.
Okay.
They don't actually get shot, but they do have, like, these squibs that explode, and then
Okay.
so they have to fall down and stuff.
they have to pretend like they're dying.
Yeah. Which, okay, it was very much like cosplay.
That's what I was thinking.
Like, but kind of in a not unenjoyable
Okay.
way,
If you're saying that, I
Yeah.
believe it.
I mean, there were some things that they couldn't recreate, but there's, like, one of the other challenges is the glass bridge,
Oh,
where they have to choose which square. There's, like, a bridge and, like, two squares side by side across this bridge, and on one side the glass will hold you, on the other side you'll fall through.
Right.
And so they each have to choose, and they, like, the production value on this show.
Man,
they
that's what I
made
was
it
gonna say.
Look exactly like.
That's pretty cool.
But then there are other aspects of it that where they had to change some of the things because they just couldn't do those
Sure,
same challenges because they're really, rough to watch in the original show.
I didn't watch
you
the full
lose, you
series.
die, so,
I didn't watch the full series. I saw bits and pieces, but yeah.
But it's just
Cool.
it was a reality
That's
show, which
funny.
is not really my thing all the time.
But that's pretty funny.
But yeah, I watched it through, and then you pick, like, who you want to win or whatever, and you have to, I wasn't happy with
Oh no.
the person who won, but
Okay.
that's why I don't watch reality TV
Oh, I know.
for the most part, except, like, baking shows.
Yeah, no.
And
forget
even
it.
then,
Bachelor and Bachelorette have broken my heart. Not even broken my heart. Made me mad too many times. I'm just like, you're dumb. It's the wrong person.
Yeah. But it actually, in this one, it's like a mix of, like, physical challenges, but also intellectual challenges.
Yeah. Logic
But then also
and,
just pure chance. Some of them are
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
you roll the dice.
It's
in one of
50
them.
50-50, yeah.
And so, there is some of that. Like, I can see why that keeps it,
Yeah.
interesting. But as a game, I don't know. It doesn't appeal to my side where like everything has to be fair.
Yeah.
Because it's not fair.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You roll the dice and then you're out. You know?
There's no skill.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a balance of that
totally.
that
Yeah.
not that into. But if you liked
Fun.
Squid Game,
You'll like this.
you'll like this. But the whole time it was more like I had the feeling of the people who were there were getting so much more out of it because there's like these weird like stairs that they have to go up from the original show.
Yeah.
Where it's all like crooked and
Yeah.
and they recreate that and they just like the people that were in as the contestants really like you could tell that they were just like eating up that they were like living
this is it. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
so,
funny.
yeah, I think I was almost more brought into it by the fact that like, they're like wearing the costumes.
It's their energy. Yeah.
You know, they're sleeping in this bunk room with all these other people.
That's so funny.
And it looks exactly like that
How
show.
funny.
So,
They do that with the Hunger Games.
gosh, I am amazed that they haven't done that.
Except
the technology from the Hunger Games. There's just nothing you could do.
Not at all. Also, I saw a funny meme recently that was like me in the Hunger Games. Are you mad at me? And I was cracking up. The people pleaser in me was like, yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely a lot of that. Like people trying to play like they're, work the system or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, look at us.
Yep. So we're back.
Back in action.
We'll see what happens with the next episode.
Gotta keep you on your toes, guys.
Yeah. You never know. It could be next week or next year.
Yep.
Well, which is not that far away at this point, but I didn't intend it that way.
No, it's true. We're going to go, think about things now.
Yes. So we'll see what happens, see if I get off of the horror kick or what. And
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Bye.
Bye.